In this video, we will register a user and insert their data into the database. So from our index page, which we worked on in the past, we created the login page, and now I've added another link to the register PHP page. So yeah, so what it looks like in the browser is just two links, one to the login page and one to the register page. So let's very quickly recap on what we've done previously and what we want to do. So what we basically want to do is create a user and put their details into the database. So I've got the steps as comments onto what we want to do. The login page pretty much is the same as what we had from last time. That's the code for the login page, and that's available in the video that we've done, which I can't remember what video, but it's not far away from what we're doing now. And I've just made some changes here. I've added a style sheet, which doesn't do much, and yeah, just added a field set and a legend to make the looks of the login page and the register page a bit consistent. What I've also done is I've added a link to the login page that takes the user to the registration page, which I might actually do now as well. So what we want is in the registration page as well, we can say already have an account, then we can ask them to, or we can take them to the login page instead of, yeah, so that's something good to start with. And so what we basically have is we've got login page. If the user's already registered, they can log in. If they are not registered, they can click on the registration page and log in. Now, let me just show you what it looks like, the database. Last time we created two users. So the first user is called test1 and the password is also test1. And the second user is test2. And let me just make sure that I haven't created anything else. Okay, so what we can actually do is we can, right, so that's, I should update my title in the registration. Yeah, so that's slightly better. So I can tell where I am. Now, if I go to the login, test1 should be able to log in. So, and another one would be test2 should also be able to log in. Oh, now I can log in. But if I get another one saying test3 is not able to log in. So let's register test3. Right, so let's have a look at what we have in our page. Let's just make this slightly bigger. Now the login page is linked to the Connect database, so that's our connection. And we've done this in a previous video. So all we need to do is just link or establish the connection by linking to, this page to a database connectivity page, which is also available here. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to check if the current HTTP request is a post method. So it's pretty much similar to what we have here. I'm just going to copy that line and put it in here. Now this is really important because we only want to come here and do the work, and let's close off our bracket actually. We only want to do the processing after the user submits the form. Otherwise we'll get a whole lot of errors if we try to work with values of the post array that don't exist. So we need the user to hit on that submit button, and all the details will be saved into the post array, which we can then access. So only if the request method has come through the post, then we know that the post array has already got the details that we need. So check if the current request is a post. This makes sure that the processing is only done when the user submits the form. Now the third step is to actually get the data that was sent through the post request and assign their values into variables. Now I'm gonna create the variables that are equal to, that are ready to sort of receive these details that we want to go into the database. So the first name is equal to, and now what we want to do is take whatever is sitting in the post array that was submitted via the post method. That will go into this key, the first name key, sorry, that should be within single quotations, and a semicolon. And same thing goes for the last name, and that would be, okay, well, last name, and then our third one would be the username. Oh, sorry, should be here. And our fourth field is the email. And our last field is the password. Okay, so these are variables that we are giving them names that are relevant to what we are getting from the post array. Whatever's in the post array would sort of be sitting in keys that are equivalent to what you've named them here. So if you go to this key, that would be sitting in the post array. So that part, these parts would be the name, whatever you've written in the name here. And these names you would give as you wish, but you know, you want to make them relevant. A fourth step is to insert user data into the user table of the database, because we've called our table user. So that's what we want to do, is insert into that table. So we could put in whatever whatever we're trying to query into a variable that will hold our query. So insert into. Now this would be the table name, and here would be the names that you've called, the table columns basically. So they'd be consistent with the names that you've gotten there. Okay, so last name, the username, email, and the password I've called pass. Okay, so before we close off our query, we want, so that's what I'm just going to put it in a separate line. So basically, that's where we want to insert into our user table, into these columns, but now we want to specify the values. So the values that we want to put in would be whatever we've stored into these variables. Now the reason why we want to put these into variables is because we should also do things like processing. So before you actually put anything into the database, you should sort of validate and sanitize. So all of this has to be validated. If they're empty, if they're, you know, if they haven't got any invalid entries that you don't want, is it a valid email? So all of that needs to actually be done, which I might do in future videos. I think I've got a typo there. Yeah, and then we also want to handle errors and display them to the user and validate. So although I've got sort of client side, sort of very bare minimum validation, like we can't submit the form if it's empty, but that's not enough. You need to also do server side validation. Server side, yeah. Yeah, so we'll work on that. So these are things that we need to address in future videos. Handle errors, do some password hashing and validation. So for now, I'm just showing you what to put in, assuming that all of this is validated. So we want to put them into variables so that we can refer to them. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to do that. So next would be our username. I'm just going to copy it. Email. And the password. So these are the values which we've retrieved from the post array. So all of these should actually be in single quotations, like this. And now we'll close off our bracket, close off our double quotation and a semicolon. So after we've inserted a user into the database, we can now execute the SQL query using the database connection we've established. And then if the execution is successful, we let the user know. So we will use MySQL iQuery, and our database connection is saved into a variable called connect. So let's just copy that. And then we'll put in our query as well. Okay. All right, so we just want to sort of echo a statement like registration is successful. All right, semicolon that. Else, we want to display the error with query that failed, and I've got a double, and the MySQL error message. For that would be for debugging purposes. So let's put an else there. Error, concatenate our query, so that query can be put in there. Concatenate that with a break, HTML break. And then concatenate that with the error, the MySQL error. I'm trying to look at the suggestions I'm getting. SQLi error. And let's put in connect, our connection. Okay, that's pretty much it. Now the last thing that we want to do, so after we've done all of this, then we can close the connection. Alright, so that's pretty much it. That's what we need to address. So this is just sort of just the bare basics, and yeah, so we need to improve this, but that we can do in future videos. Let's see how the data got inserted. So let's register test 3. Yeah, everything is test 3 and register. So now it says that registration is successful. Let's look into our database. I'm going to refresh, and it's not really refreshing. Okay, I got it. I've got other things. It seems like I've got test 4 as well. So this was probably while I was playing around with things. But let's see if we can log in test 4. All right, awesome. So we are logged in, but if we try with test 5, that's not gonna work. Let's just see. So I've got actually I've got 2. Oh, I've got 3 as well. So test 4 was already created previously. Let's try with the one that we've just created, which was test 3. So let's try that. Test 3. That's the one we just created, but it didn't work because I think I put in the wrong password. Okay, now here we are. So I hope this was helpful to you. Like I said, this is only the start, and there's a lot of work to be done to safely insert a record into the database, but these are the basic steps, and I'll see you in the next one.